as a general response, that the legislative making process of the country is vested in us. I mean, the executive and the legislature and National Assembly. That's why, of course, except for private member bills, usually it is the executive that introduces the bills and you consider them. So the bills are a proposal from us. We propose, submit it to you, and you enact. And in the process of enactment, of course, you are entitled to do your own scrutiny. I said, I decided to give this general answer as to some of the questions, some specific questions that were asked during the debate, to the effect that, I mean, consider this as a proposal from us. At the level of the executive, this bill was approved among other bills by cabinet, so that's our proposal. If you think differently, that is why you are a chamber. When you go to the committee stage, as we usually do, with a lot of other bills, we can go through it. So specific direct questions were asked. Some, like I did yesterday, maybe we will deal with them when we get to the committee stage. Some probably would require a direct response as I stand here. Lower Salum asked a number of questions. But one that you ask, I think, is a misunderstanding. That is why the payment of the pensions will be in arrears. What that means is you are not paid upfront. You are paid after it has accrued. So you're paid. Your salaries are paid in arrears because it's at the end of the month that you are paid. So that's what that means. Not the other arrears probably that you might be thinking of. Now you also ask about the issue of repeal and savings. You talked about will Jammeh benefit, and the issue of Jammeh went on. I heard from so many other MPs talk about Jammeh. And you raised the issue of if you die in office. Of course, I know Lower Salum also mentioned those things. So some of those things probably when you do the clause by clause consideration, we will look at it. Other members also talked about the issue of retrospectivity. Would it apply to all the former presidents? Now, we did a lot of study of similar legislations within the sub-region and beyond when we were drafting this one. And we discovered it varies from one country to another country. It's not uniform. Countries decide how they want to take care of their former heads of states. Some countries give office, they give accommodation, they give lifelong security, they give lifelong protocol services. Some pay spouses, some don't pay spouses. So it depends on the context. In the Gambia, let's not forget, like most of you who participated in the debate rightly said, this is not coming in a vacuum. There is already an existing legislation. And it is what this new legislation is introducing is very little. Most of these things are already in that legislation. And that's why, Lower Salum, you also ask about sustainability. These things are here, they're not new, except for the pension. The pension is new. Because what the former presidents used to have under the existing legislation we have is an allowance. Now we are proposing they get a proper pension, like anybody else. All right? So that is what is new. And other than that, even under that legislation, they are meant to have an office. They are meant to have 3 vehicles, and we maintain 3 vehicles in this bill. We are not increasing the vehicles. They are meant to have, these vehicles are meant to have drivers. We have not changed that. They are meant to have diplomatic passports for the rest of their life. We've not changed it. All that we added is diplomatic passport to the president and the spouses. And I'm sure the gender people will agree with us on that. Then, even the sitting arrangement is catered for in the old legislation. We have not changed that. That is, former presidents in an event, in a public event, they sit immediately after the sitting vice president. And if there are more than one, they will sit in the order of seniority. All right? So, office is created for them under the existing legislation. We are not introducing a new thing there. The legislation that we had since 2006, former presidents were supposed to have a fully furnished office. So that's not new. The issue of maintenance of their residence and staff for their residences too is in the Act, is in the existing Act. It's not new. If you go to Section 7 of the schedule, it's clear. The presidential accommodation of former presidents shall be maintained and provided with telephone, internet, and other facilities, with 2 cooks, 4 housekeepers, and 2 gardeners. I'm reading the old Act. This is there. We are not bringing anything new. So, for those of you who are concerned about the economic impact, this is there already. So, whenever there is a former president, even if this bill didn't pass, those things are there. So, we are only making a little bit of an improvement. Now, with the specific questions as to the application of the Act. Now, in the 2007, of course, passed in 2006, but it came into force in February 2007. In the 2007 legislation, that Act is only applicable to presidents who serve 2 terms minimum. So, under that old legislation, if you serve 1 term, you will not have benefited from even the allowances, because they don't have a pension under that Act. It was an allowance, and then an office and maintenance of their house. If you haven't served 2 terms, you were not going to benefit. In the new bill, we said former president, simple. So if you serve 1 term and you leave, you will still be treated as a former president. If you serve 2 terms, you will still benefit. That's a departure from the old Act. The other departure point is, under the old Act, there is a provision to say if you are removed from office, you will be denied the benefits. That is not in this bill. And I see quite a number of you in the debate have started asking that. How about if you are impeached? How about this, that, that? And I think that question is expanded for specific questions. Will Jammeh benefit or not? This is what I have to say with respect to that. At the level of the executive, we interrogated this issue. If you look at the definition of a former president under the bill, no former president is excluded. However, you will have to look at the practical application of it. I would have avoided answering this, but because it's a direct question that was asked, yes, we have to look at it directly as well. Yes. Now, former President Jammeh, which was a very direct question, even if he is deemed to be qualified to benefit from this act, the reality is former President Jammeh is a wanted person in the Gambia.
By who?
He is recommended to be prosecuted by the TRRC. Government has accepted that President Jammeh will be prosecuted. So he is a former president which cannot be denied. However, he is a former president that is in conflict with the law. And unless that conflict with the law is determined, even if he is entitled to benefit under this legislation, it will not kick in. Because like any one of us, if you are a suspect of having committed a crime, unless you deal with that issue and clear it, you cannot be entitled to it. You cannot be entitled to certain benefits. So that's my answer for that. If you look at the application of the Act, of course, no former president is excluded. That is the spirit that it is coming. Nobody is expressly excluded. But the application of it specifically for President Jammeh, we would have avoided mentioning specific names. But because the direct question is asked, President Jammeh, unless
Honorable Minister, you could have avoided answering direct questions on individuals.
Okay, thank you,
because that determination would be on the bill and what the consequences.
Exactly.
Because here, when you have the bill, it does not exclude, as you rightly said, it does not exclude anybody.
I will leave it at that, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, for you to be excluded, it cannot be determined now for somebody to say that somebody will be included or excluded. You know.
Well, the minister has made it clear that Jammeh is tagged by law.
So that would be my response to that question. So other than that, for the objective of the bill, it is pretty clear, and I think we are all on the same level on the importance of the bill. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Speaker, some questions are not answered. Honorable Jiba, former councillor, he has made some that is not answered. I said there are some questions that we have asked which is not answered. It's left out. No, but no, this is also very about the spouse.
It can come out when you are on it and the floor of the house. It's not everything that was said that is supposed to come and say. These are just the guidance.
He has missed. That's why I want to guide her also.
Honorable members, it has been moved and seconded that the bill entitled the former President's Bill 2023 be read a second time. Those in favor, please say aye. Not in favor, please say no.
No.
The ayes have it. May we have the person on record? Who?
Jiba, based on the explanation of the minister, I said no.
Honorable, don't confuse yourself.
No, I'm not confused there.
No, listen.
I'm not confused. I'm fully guided. Yes. Okay.
When the speaker talks, everybody sits and listens. The minister is not here to tell us how to legislate. The minister introduced a bill, the intent of the executive for us to look, scrutinize, and then do whatever we want. So you don't come and tell us the minister said this or that. This is your responsibility, not the minister's responsibility.
No, I also want to.
Yes. Anyway, note it down that he is the one object.
Yes.
Honorable members, I will now resolve the Assembly into the Committee of the Whole Assembly to consider the bill in detail. On that note, the Assembly is now resolved. The second reading today, the air. Sorry.